Hey, what's up, everyone? Sean here with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Hope everyone's having a great Sunday. Hope you had a great weekend. So we got the Monday market report. Okay, we are coming here to the last final waning weeks of the month. I would suspect that the market might slow down a little bit as we get closer to Christmas. That's just the way things go coin market wise. After about midway point, so I would suspect that maybe there will probably be a slowdown. Now, last year and the year before, ever since the pandemic, things have been kind of atypical, right? We've seen just really hot performing days for the Monday market report going into the end of December, so that might be the case. I'm kind of playing off the odds here that things might slow down. We're also already seeing a little bit of a slowdown in certain parts of the market. The high end market, I don't know. We'll see. All I can tell you is people are still spending money. They're still buying the high end, the high echelon pieces out there. And, there's no really rhyme or reason other than, they need those coins in their collection or they need something for a registry set or and as an investment. That still doesn't stop, regardless of what time of the year it is. So we're going to break down every single one of the about 18 or so coins that we had handpicked from greatcollections.com. All of these coins selling here today. We're going to talk about some of the biggest and brightest coins for the week. Now, typically we hone in on the modern era of coins, typically anything dated 1900 all the way up to the current date. We cover so that could include a lot of different types of series, series that may be a little bit obsolete that we just don't see in circulation anymore. Those will be covered as well as long as it meets that date threshold. So a lot to look forward here. The market is still feeling pretty good right now for a lot of the high end pieces. I sell on whatnot. We usually kick things off here with a little bit of a kind of like a calendar of events, notifications. We have a show coming up here this Friday. It may or may not be the last one. I've been talking about it being the final show for the month. And then we're just going to take a little bit of a break. I don't know. We'll see. Really depends on how much do people need it, I guess. So stay tuned. There might be a pop up between now and then. I don't know. That's something for me and Mrs. Blue to talk about. She might want to do something in there. But our Friday shows typically start at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern. Now, if you get orders in on this Friday show, we will guarantee some sort of delivery before Christmas, especially if you're looking to get a gift for a loved one. You know, you might see something cool there. We've had a lot of great stuff, a lot of cool items, especially last week. It was crazy busy. So I want to wish each and every single one of you happy holidays, Merry Christmas from the Blue Ridge Silverhound family. You guys have made us who we are today, and we are eternally grateful for everything. All the support, the views, and everything else in between. You guys really make it happen for us. We wouldn't exist without you. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's not dilly dally any longer. Okay, how about 1996, the Lincoln set? It seems like we've hit a little bit of a deja vu moment because a mid-state 69 red, like you see here, we've seen this before in a 1996. There are a number of 96 Lincoln cents in 69 that we have seen sold, and we've chronicled every single one of them that have hit the open market. And, by no really big surprise, they're still expensive. It's the highest grade that you could realize for a 1996 Lincoln cent. And rest assured, this is going to have, it's a very specific application, but registry set owners are going to be the prime targets of these coins. Bar none. Really, they're not investable by any means, because, the registry. Um, but in any event, this one right here, still a very expensive coin. I'm more than blown away because the pops are quite large for a 69 1996 coin. $3,262.50. I mean, you think these things would dwindle down into the abyss every time one gets graded in a 69, but I don't know. What's that good old saying? Every time a 96 hits a 69, an angel gets her wings. Yeah, I think that's still quite relevant. That those wings haven't completely turned spoiled and rotten. These things are still flying high in today's market. Um, and of course, 1995 DDO, the FS 101. Boy, we've talked about, if I had to guess, probably about 20 or so of these just this year. They're a prime target for grading. A lot of them come back 67, 68s, and a fair share of them at 9. That's kind of the grade that you want, and the populations are still quite gigantic on this particular coin. Even what it is, it's a double to die that back 30 years ago, we were glued to the TV as newscasters were talking about the next big thing to come out of pocket change, and it was this coin right here. So lo and behold, 30 almost 30 years later, we're still talking about it. It's still very relevant. This one obviously probably a registry set coin. I'm not going to josh you on that. But where'd this one end up as? Well, not certainly close to that 1996 we looked at. This one only managed to muster $1,743.75, thereby proving that the pop on this one is really large. There's a lot of people, that have this coin in 69. It's the finest grade. You're not going to find one in a 70. There hasn't been one yet. Maybe one day. I don't know. I think it's only a matter, given the population count on this one at the highest grade, it's only going to be a matter of when, not if, it reaches a 70. So we'll see. And that's going to be a huge coin. That's going to be, if I had to guess, easily into five-figure territory. But in the meantime, we'll just have to gloss over many more 69 Reds in the future. 1991D. Okay, we've also covered this coin in a 69 Red. Probably more so on Great Collections than any other website, any other auction house out there today. 91D, man. This thing, it's about as pedestrian of a coin as you could get. Why anyone in the world would spend a lot of money on these? Well, it's going to be those folks that want just the finest. This one sold for also $1,743.75. All right, so we continue on down the board here, and we're getting into some of the earlier dates. Last week, we had talked about a red brown. I believe it was a 65 mid-state 65 red brown 1970s FS 101 DDO. This used to be one of the most talked about coins that you could find out there. It rivaled the 69S in terms of how strong it is, the popularity, how it could be a coin that if not for the 69S, would be the big dog. And boy, man, how have these fallen from grace? That 65 red brown sold for under $2,000. Now, how about a full red example? Albeit it's a 64, these things used to be $4,000 to $5,000 as recently as a couple years ago. But this particular example, again, only sold for $2,250. What exactly is going on here? Is it the amount of examples that are currently extant out there? It could be. Or it just could be that, the people that really wanted this example, they bought them years ago. So, now kind of like all of the, what we call like secondary tier examples that grade like, say, brown, red brown, or maybe our mid-state 63, 64s, and 5s. There's just, people are just not touching them because the ones that did buy them, they ended up buying the mid-state 66s, the 65 pluses of the world. So these secondary tier coins are slip sliding away, and I would expect that to continue on. There's just going to be little decreases in the value of these things over time. Are they going to go completely to zero? Hell no. No, these things are really awesome. And then one day I wish I would hope to be able to find one of these because they are kind of like a bucket lister coin of mine. So there you go, $2,250. Boy, these things have dropped dramatically. What didn't drop dramatically are the Philadelphia 1950s coinage. We can't stop talking about these because they are certainly rare to find. If you're able to snag that 67 grade in any of these, bravo. Congratulations. You certainly deserve to, not only treat yourself, but maybe the whole entire town you live in, to a hot dinner somewhere. Because, well, that might be a little dramatic, but that's how special it is to find one of these coins in the 67, a 54 Philly. Oh my gosh. Good luck with that. The quality is just the quality beats you up at every step of the way. People look through very expensive BU rolls to have the chance to find one of these, and oftentimes they get caught looking, just like in good old baseball jargon, I guess. So this one right here, another pricey coin at the top level, $6,131.25 was the final price tag. I mean, $6,100. Yeah, come on, I'll just sell this and grab myself a couple of what is it, $20 double eagles, and call it a day. That's a pretty good trade-off there, if I say so. Um, and one of the crown jewels of the week has to be this 1953 proof Lincoln Wheat set. They just don't come like this ever. And given the fact that actual 1953 proof sets are several $300 or so somewhere around there. You gotta make sure you're able to look at all the coins and be able to cherry pick what you want at your own will. Because obviously, what's at stake? Coins like this, deep cameo. You just don't see it. Oftentimes, the surface prep on the dies, they only last through maybe 100 strikes or so before that deep cameo just completely disappears off the things. So this one here is just really eye-pleasing, very catchy, 68 red. You can see the deep cameo designation on the slab holder. And a real crowd pleaser here at $32,400. I'm telling you, proof coins, man. You pick a specific area of interest, and some of them get harebrained, to say the least. It's uh, it sounds easy at first glance because the coins are very well struck, and they're taken care of a lot better than regular circulating coinage. But let's not fool ourselves. So you're gonna be hunting for these things. A lot of the coin dealers, they know about the deep cameo rarities out of these earlier 1950s proof sets. It's going to be that opportunity of looking for untouched collections of these things out there in the hopes of finding another one just like this one. And let's see, I think this might be the last Lincoln cent of the day. We have a little short list here. 1946, one of my favorite varieties, the S over D over mint mark. This one is classified also as FS 511. It's a cherry picker's guide variety. It's in the red book. When it's all over the place, it's a coin that kind of demands your respect in a certain way, because it's a big dog. It's one of them out there. This one just so happens to grade out as a 66 plus full red by PCGS. A very handsome looking coin. I've never found one that looked quite like this. I'd like to say that, again, another bucket list coin is to find a nice mid-state red example of this variety at some point in the future. This one ended up hammering for $2,054.25. All right, now we're on to nickels. And nickels, we had no slouches this week, surprisingly. Usually we're coming off a banging list of Lincoln cents, and then we go on to nickels. It's like, man, where are we going to find the next 53S? or that next 69s full stepper. You know, they just don't come around that often. They're true rarities. They're damn near borderline unique in a certain way. So now here we are, this fine week here in early December. We had a number of really nice looking coins. We have this 1984D. Who would have thought? 1980s nickels. Okay, alert. This particular decade is getting a lot more interest. And I think kind of like the buzz surrounding 1980s nickels is that they're very challenging to find with full steps, but they're not as bad as 1950s, 60s, and some 1970s dates. I'd say a lot of people who are true blue Jefferson Nickel registry set fanboys, they've been beating their head up against the wall on those 50s, 60s, and 70s dated coins that, they're ready to move on. All right, and they did. Now they're honing in on 1980s nickels, and we're beginning to see a trend where we're seeing like a couple here and there, but it's becoming more frequent that that overall activity in this particular decade is ramping up. 84D, not particularly easy. It is a Denver, so it's a Denver you would normally associate with better quality, you know. But this one right here comes out as a 67 full steps. It's one of the finest grades you'll see of this one. So a few bucks shy of $4,000 on this one. $3,937.50. This coin right here is more expensive than a lot of like high end like key date masterpieces that you'll see out there. Some high graded 1916D Mercury dimes, the occasional, rare gold piece, a Charlotte or a Dahlonega piece. This coin beats out some of those just unexplicable rarities that, again, it really kind of more commands your respect in a certain way, because it's a tough decade. But collectors, they're kind of like pushing. They're pushing to look through more unsearched inventory to find coins like this. Now here's the Philadelphia example. Both the P and D made an appearance here this week. And this one right here, God, look at that thing. It's 67 plus full steps. Really? Oh, that's insane. That's an insane grade for this. But believe it or not, it didn't meet up to the Denver coin. All right, which leads me to believe that in this particular case, the Philadelphia coins are a little bit more better out there as far as the strike and quality. This one ended at $2,819.25. You put both coins together, ladies and gents, and that's uh, over $6,700 for both. I mean that's wild. To think about for 1980s Jefferson nickels. But let's not forget. Some of those 1950s coins are still out there. There's a 52S that did pop here on great collections. This one is a 67 full steps. A little bit of nice original toning on there for note. It's a good looking coin. This kind of like it's hot off the heels of the 53S, which I believe is one of the scarcest dates, bar none, for full steps. To the point that where most examples are worth tens of thousands of dollars. So 52S, gets a little bit of consideration. It's right there. Now it's a 6.7 full stepper, very impressive. This one right here closed at $6,637.50. Okay, yeah, that's more like it. That's awesome. We also had a 52D. Again, the Denvers generally have a little bit better quality, better luster. This one also in a 67 full steps. This one ended at $3,093.75. Another good looking one there. Also a 51S. So we had some early 50s dated coins. Now you got to keep in mind that, even though we're talking about 53S, 54S as being kind of like two of the standard bearers of Jefferson nickel strike rarities, the earlier dated ones are not too bad. All right, but they're probably more closely associated with the better strikes of the late 40s than they are the crappy strikes of the mid 50s. So just because it's 1950s and it has an S, it doesn't mean it's the same. There's really no similarities because the quality over the course of like 2 3 years is dramatically different. So this one here, also in the 67 full stepper. This one ended at $3,487.50. Impressive, sure, but we have seen again some of those rare dates that have hit five figures. Maybe another day we'll see that. There's just not a lot of leftover sealed inventory of 53S or 54S to go through anymore, let alone 55. 55 is just tough, even though they didn't make a San Francisco coin. But yeah, there's not a lot of leftover inventory to search through out there in today's world. The last nickel is this radioactive 42p, a wartime silver nickel. If it wasn't for the fact that this thing had silver in it, you wouldn't see this level of toning on a nickel. Wow, it's bright and shiny and sunny. It's like a 85 degree day in Miami. That's what this coin best represents. You know, but really pretty. It's again, it's made for someone who appreciates the arts. The color, the toning. This one doesn't even have full steps. So, that also plays into a little bit of the desirability. It's not only about the strike designation, there are other characteristics that kind of push the envelope for value. So where did this one end up as? This one sold for $3,375, and sure, the toning was a heavy marker in all of that. So we're going to end things off here on a couple dimes and a couple quarters. Oh, yeah. By the way, there was another 1968 proof Roosevelt dime, no S, that sold here this week. I think there were probably like four or five of them that sold this year on Great Collections alone. Thereby giving us the reason that we should never stop looking through proof sets for some of these missing mint mark coins. This one here in a proof 69, one of the finest that you'll find, of course. This one ended at $33,750. If I didn't say it once, I'll say it again. This is a prime target for a lot of treasure hunters out there. Considering that a 68 proof set will set you back around $10 or less, there should be no reason why that you shouldn't look at every single dime coming from this set. Just finding one, will probably end up making your year. Let's just be honest. This is a heck of a price tag and a heck of a lottery win for anyone that's putting in the work. There you go. We talked about 16D. How about this one? Just an overall pleasing, wholesome coin with lots of detail remaining in a VF20. We did see, a few like AG3s, good sixes, and, various grades of that ilk pass through great collections here recently. There's plenty of those lower graded examples. It's when, you get to a certain point, grade wise, where things kind of like take off in more of a high, kind of like steep cliff, fashion. And that's very fine. That's very fine in this date right here. You have full rims. You have a very discernible mint mark. You have some details remaining in the fascies and the olive branch. What's not to like of this one? And it's CAC certified as well. I mean, that's a huge deal for this coin. $5,906.25. It'll set you back, um, you know, $5,000 or more if you want to dip your toe in VF territory and get something that's pleasing to the eye and market acceptable. You got to push out $5,000 or more, and that's a testament right there. Holy smokes, 1960D. I guess we all know why this one's here. I mean, the grade's impressive, don't get me wrong. The last couple coins all graded by NGC, of course. Mid-State 68. Toning for days. I could stare at this thing for an hour and just be completely impressed by just decades of just piled on just thickness to this thing. Um, $7,031. I mean, does that sound catastrophically high, for a coin that, was minted into the millions? Probably not necessarily. We're talking about some of the Denver early 60s coins can be a little bit tough. 63D, 62D, 61D, 60D. Again, they all fit into this, like, this group of coins that are all really tough to find in grades above 67. So yeah, $77,000 for this one. Man, I thought I've seen everything. 39S, 39S. Yeah, tough date. It is anything. Washington Quarter, 1930s. Primarily, the Denver and San Francisco's are all quite challenging. Now, this bad boy, peculiar like, got a 68 star. The star denotes eye appeal. So on a blast white coin, which we've seen dozens and millions of times, the star really doesn't really fit, with something that's this white. I mean, the obverse of the coin exhibits a fair amount of die file lines. That's pretty easy to see. It looks like it's been cleaned, but that, I guess it's just an overall cleanup of that die. Maybe there was a clashing or something to that effect there. So this one sold for $3,609. Okay, pretty tough. That is a tough one at any grade. And the final coin of the day, coin number 18. We threw in a Standing Liberty quarter. I just love this series. How about 26S? A tougher date? No doubt about it. It's not quite 23S caliber, but it's a coin that I personally respect a lot because it's, full head designations are nearly non-existent on this date. All right, let's be honest. This one just so happens to capture that and a 64 grade, and it's also got, for a lack of a better term, probably one of my least desirable toning looks on it, both on the obverse and reverse. But that just means the coin was never cleaned in the last nearly 100 years of its survival. All right, and that's pretty miraculous, and collectors want that at any cost. And because of that, this one ended up selling tonight for $10,237.50. All right, well, that's going to go ahead and conclude things on this edition of the Monday Market Report. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Round. Information in this video is for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Please do collect and or grade your coins responsibly. And that's going to go ahead and wrap things up here. We will see you back again a week from today with another banging Monday Market Report in the middle of the holidays. We're going to keep it rolling all the way up through the end of the year. I want to thank you guys again. You guys have a great evening. Have a great Monday. Don't work so hard. And again, happy holidays.